Welcome back, everybody. So the draft Supreme Court opinion that would overturn the landmark Roe v. Wade decision is already heating up a competitive midterm season. Moments ago, Texas gubernatorial candidate Beto O'Rourke, energizing voters on the abortion issue in Austin, just steps away from the governor's mansion.
This is not about life. This is about control. This is about power. This is about controlling the lives of the women of Texas and taking power away from them. The only way to get this back is to win political power.
All right, let's talk about this. NBC News senior congressional correspondent Garrett Haake is with us live in Austin. Also with us, Victoria DeFrancesco Soto, Dean of the Clinton School of Public Service, and Michael Steele, former chair of the RNC. Hey, Garrett, let me start with you there down in Texas. We are seeing, obviously, abortion become a top issue for voters there. How is this impacting candidates in the primaries?
Well, look, O'Rourke is trying to elevate this issue towards the November election, his battle against Greg Abbott, the sitting Republican governor who has signed these really strict abortion bills here in Texas. But it's playing out in the primaries in Texas as well, specifically in a runoff just southwest of where I am right now in Texas 28th District. That's just outside of San Antonio, where you have a self-described pro-life Democratic congressman. That's Henry Cuellar. He's represented that district since 2005. He is the only congressional Democrat to vote against the Women's Health Protection Act when that was on the floor last year. He is being challenged by Jessica Cisneros, a progressive, who says Cuellar is out of touch with the party. He needs to get on board and be in favor of abortion rights legislation like that and the rest of the party. Cuellar is getting hammered by progressives, and last night he told me they just don't get this district. Here's what he had to say.
Well, the problem is that they, in their own minds, have an idea what, quote, a Democrat should be. They want us to vote with the Democratic Party 100% of the time. I don't do that. I do have an 86 voting lifetime record with the Democrats, but I think it's important that we represent the country, our district in Washington, D.C., and not represent the party.
Cuellar's theory of the case here is that his work on border issues, the district stretches all the way down to Laredo, where he is quite well known, his long service to the district and his powerful position as the only Texas Dem on the Appropriations Committee is what this race will be about, not the abortion rights issue. Obviously, Cisneros and her camp disagrees. They've been fundraising on this issue, brought in big-name surrogates. That runoff coming up in 2 weeks is going to be a fascinating one to watch, Yasmin.
Yeah, we will all be watching that. Garrett, I know you got to get to it, so thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Victoria, let's talk a little bit about where Garrett just left off, and that is the conversation about Cuellar. Should he, in fact, change his equation in these primaries?
Well, we've known that Henry has been a pro-life bee. He's been the exception that confirms the rule for a long time. And I tend to agree in terms of this is a reflection of his district. Let's go back to the recent election, 2020, where a lot of the nation was surprised when they saw some of those South Texas districts flip and vote Republican, something that we had not previously seen. These are more conservative social and moral districts. This isn't to say that they're conservative in all realms, but in certain aspects they are. So I think this is going to be the canary in the coal mine. This primary that we have coming up is going to show if the extremity of what we're seeing coming out of the Supreme Court is enough to topple Henry Cuellar and bring in Jessica Cisneros and a newer, a more contemporary voice in the Democratic Party.
Michael, I talked a little bit about this with Susan Page, but I want you to expand on it now that I have you on as well. By and large, we have been seeing Republicans putting more attention on blaming this leak over the actual content of the draft, what it is essentially achieving for them. This has been, as we all know, the white whale for conservatives for decades here, and now they likely have it, right? They are reaping the rewards. How does that impact the funding and what they are running on come midterm elections?
Oh, it's not going to impact the funding negatively. They're going to raise a hell of money off of this over the next few months going into the fall. It is going to be one large victory lap, both in terms of the funds that will be raised. And just a reminder to the base, see, we delivered on the promise. Donald Trump delivered on the promise of delivering the court. But here's the rub. And we witnessed it play out earlier this week. There is no plan here. There is the truth of this effort is now becoming very real. When you say we want all things to be anti-abortion, not supporting anything, whether it's incest, rape, up and down the line, the question then becomes, okay, so then what do we do? How do you plan to govern in that new reality? How are women, what should women expect from you as a governor, as a senator, as a congressman, as a state delegate, legislator? Because now you've got to fill in the blanks for us. And as you saw with Mitch McConnell, there are no lines to be filled in here. There are no words to put on those blanks. They don't want to talk about the fact that they're now going to have to spend more on local and statewide and national programs that address children, families, women, health care. And so the great lurch towards this great promise, absent a substantive and coherent discussion around abortion policy, as opposed to just running against abortion, now you're going to have to confront abortion policy, because that's essentially what it is. And there is no there. And to the first question about, that Texas race, a Democrat other than the current incumbent is not going to win that district if they're pro-choice. So that's the conundrum for Democrats as well. On the other side, in looking at these districts where the Democrat is the best fit in a conservative district because they are pro-life or they are pro, what other piece works for that district. So this is going to be an interesting test for both parties coming at because of this one issue.
Yeah, that's putting it lightly. Victoria, Michael, thank you guys both.